So what happens when you fly out of San Antonio Airport and you leave your truck parked?
At Homewood Suites.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of What Can Happen When You're RVing.
RV life.
So first of all, we are at a campground in, what is this place called?
Elmendorf, Texas. You should check it out if you haven't. It's a really cute little park.
We're going to do a video on that a little bit later. But while we were here, we told him that we told the manager we needed to fly out of here, out of San Antonio, to go to Reneau to bowl with our kids in the National Bowling Tournament. We were just going to be gone for the weekend. So they were nice enough to let us keep the camper here just for a couple of hours to store it, which was awesome, and we really, really appreciate that. But while we were here, the manager said, "Where are you flying out of?" And he said, "San Antonio." And he said, "Don't leave your truck there because they have a lot of theft problems." And
like vehicles, trucks in particular, being stolen in the San Antonio area.
So we checked out the Uber and the Lyft and all that and went,
It's almost $100 one way.
We said, it'll be okay. It's fine. We'll be okay.
It's insured. It's fine.
So Lisa found this place. It was
called... but preface that with, we're very apparently spoiled because at home, whenever we fly out of Richmond Airport. And there is a phenomenal park and ride there. We've parked and ridden there for years. You park, everything's secure, no worries. It's way cheaper than airport parking. So I found... Well, it wasn't even being frugal. I'm not familiar with the San Antonio area, so I found it's called On Air. It's an online app where you arrange for park and ride. I'm thinking, cool, this is good, just like at home. Should have been a little cautious when the park and ride instructions were to park in the lot beside the Homewood Suites. And then you go into the hotel, show them your reservation, and their shuttle takes you to the airport.
But first of all, this is where I guess we need to be a little more aware of what's going on. We went in there, we took our baggage in, the manager there, or whatever he was, I don't know if he was in the manager.
He was working the desk, but he was super great.
He said, nice. He folded up our reservation and said, "I need you to put this in your windshield of your truck." So I said, "Okay, I'll go put it in the windshield of the truck." So when I walked out there to the windshield, now first of all, hold on, let's back up. I always park underneath lights because they say it's safer to park underneath lights, safer. So I parked underneath the biggest light they had there.
And it may have been safer.
It might have been safer, I don't know. But anyway, I carried my reservation out there. I put it in the dashboard exactly the way he said to put it in there. And when I looked down on the ground, there was glass. And I thought, oh, this isn't good. Us owning a lawn care business, and there was a little bit of grass around there, thought, maybe, luckily, hopefully, somebody was weed eating, hit the glass, shattered the glass.
Because it happens.
It happens. We broke many, many windows cutting grass. So I thought, maybe, let's hope. So
we should
go on our gut feeling for now on.
We should have just been like, no, never mind. We'll give up the $25 that we are spending to park here for the weekend and go to the airport.
But anyway, so I did say whatever. I put it in there. I went inside. I told her about it, and she said, "Do you want to move?" And I said, "No, we're here. We're done. We're ready to roll."
Fast forward to when we come home Monday.
So hold on. So now they said that there's going to be problems. It could be problems with your truck. So every 3 or 4 hours while I'm out in Nevada, I'm pulling up my phone and looking at my OnStar and going, truck's still there. Truck's still there. We're good. The truck is still there. It's still there.
And it was.
It was there. So we get in at 2 o'clock in the morning now, early from our flight. Or late, whichever way you want to call it. It was on time.
Our flight was on time.
So we get there, we call the hotel, which is their shuttle that comes and picks you up. We had to wait because we had like 5 or 6 other people need to be picked up and going to a different place, which, okay,
but
whatever.
But it is what it is. We got there. It was all good.
So it was just, after we dropped them off, it was just us and the driver in the van. And he said something about, I don't even know what he was talking about.
Were we parked in the shuttle lot or in their proper parking lot?
And I said, "At least our truck is still there. I heard it was been bad out here in San Antonio area about your truck getting stolen." I said, "My app says it's still there, so at least the truck is still there. Nobody's stolen my truck." And he said,
kind of chuckled.
He laughed and he said, "That's a good thing." And then we pulled into the parking lot and he said, "So where is your truck?" And I went, "Oh, at the end on the right."
It's the one right under the light, the black one, right under the light.
So we drive up there and he laughs. He said, "Yep, your truck is still here." And he looked back and said,
But your window.
Your back window is shattered. And I went, what? So me hoping that it got shattered because somebody cut the grass again. And when I went up and I looked inside, it wasn't shattered accidentally.
Now, they were smart enough to know once they shattered the window, they could have unlocked it and opened it and gotten in, but that would have triggered the alarm.
Which would have triggered my OnStar, which would have told me somebody's in my truck.
Instead, I don't know if you can see in the camera.
My truck is nasty.
Is filthy, but this is where they climbed and
they scratched the
helped
whole
themselves
side of my
in.
truck right here. Up here is totally scratched. I don't know if that happened from their feet getting in or getting out or whatever. So they, make a long story short, they got into the truck and they literally opened up every single thing they can get into.
It looked like, you know, on TV or in the movies when they ransack somebody's apartment or whatever and there's just stuff everywhere.
So
That's what it looked like.
So you guys know what's going on here, but the story gets a lot better. So you're going to have to wait till, you have to keep watching because it gets better than this. But anyway, we get in there and I see it and I go, somebody's been in my truck. So the first thing I go, Lisa's on the phone with 911 and she's talking to the dispatcher. And first of all, they said,
were there any weapons?
Is there anything missing? And we go, we don't know. We haven't touched anything yet because we wanted to get fingerprints. We want to see what's going on. Then she said, is there any weapons?
Were there any weapons in your vehicle? No, because we wouldn't have left a weapon in a vehicle. Like, no.
So we are allowed to go back into the truck now because they're not coming out because there's no weapons involved.
They'll do an over the phone police report. Okay.
So I go inside to see what is missing. And at first, nothing's missing. And all of my electronic devices I took down off the window, you know, my backup cameras, my
right.
TPMS, everything I hid, I thought. Put it all underneath the seats, put it away. All that was still there.
Don't feel too confident about the lock on your glove box. I mean, I get it. It's a plastic door, but that easily can be opened and not even cause any damage to it. You would never know by looking at it that it had been popped open.
They popped that open and took everything completely out of there to see if there was a weapon.
They were looking for the
in
weapon, which there wasn't one.
So I just purchased a new dash cam, and that is motion activated. So when somebody got in the truck, and this is the bad thing, it even made noise. It goes,
yeah, it beeps to let them know it's there.
It made noise, and evidently they saw that, and they ripped it completely off of the window. Now, they left the mount there, they left the cord. All they wanted was the footage, so we couldn't go back and say, hey, this is who broke into our truck.
So they could have just taken the card, though?
Yes. Take the card and give me the camera. That way I have plenty of cards.
It's all good, though.
So make another long story short, they did not take anything out of there. I mean, all my electronic devices, everything was still there.
It still makes you a little uncomfortable, though, that they were rummaging through. And I know it's not but such personal stuff because it's in your vehicle, but they were rummaging through your place, your spot, your space.
It looked like somebody took the truck and turned it upside down and shook it real hard.
Broken glass, and then just stuff, like all the stuff out of the glove box, all the stuff out of our console compartment, because they were looking for a weapon. And they did a very thorough search. They didn't find a weapon, but they thoroughly searched the entire
everything else they could have
truck.
Taken and sold for money.
They didn't
left.
touch it.
So they literally were looking for
that's
that
what
weapon.
they were after.
So of course there was no weapons in there. Evidently they got out and they ran whatever it was. The other thing that really kind of bothers me and upsets me is when the driver said, we were talking about weather out in Reneau because it was snowing, he said, well, it's rained here for the last 2 days, except for today. So we get in today and my truck is completely dry. So it just happened. So did it happen while we were waiting to drop those other people off? Because when we got there, somebody said there was a bunch of kids riding around on their bicycles and through the parking lot at 2 o'clock in the morning. What are they doing riding around their bicycles at 2 o'clock in the morning?
Well, they're breaking into people's trucks and they're looking for weapons. That's
so
what
if we would have scheduled a 30-minute earlier flight or those people wouldn't have been on it, it may not happen. I don't know. But back to the story, and it gets better from here. So our truck is broken into. We're all like, oh my God, my truck's broken in. Now I got to go get a new window, on and on and on. So this one goes on detective mode and calls the police department.
Well, they called me back at 4 a.m. They called back to collect the police report over the phone. And I must say that the officer that called was super nice. I was already frustrated because I felt like somebody should have come out, but I get that they have bigger things going on than that.
Especially in that area.
Yeah, like there are things that are way more important than that. So I'm not trying to... Not trying to make it sound like I was more important than anybody else. But at 4 a.m., I went through the whole thing. And one of his questions, we got through that there wasn't any weapons. Nothing was missing but the dash cam. How much is that worth? The whole thing. But his question was, were there cameras on the property that may have caught any of this on video? Which was funny he asked, because that was one of the things. We went into the hotel and asked them, because there was a camera.
Now, hold up. When we parked there, it does say on our reservations, not responsible for theft or not responsible for damage to your car.
Right.
And I get it. That's everywhere you park.
Well, and I'm not asking them to fix anything. Like, I get that. That's fine. But when the police, I went in that night when we got there, and I asked the girl, I said, I see that there's cameras outside. The police are supposed to call and do a report. Do the cameras work? Because I know a lot of places just have fake cameras up. Do the cameras work? It's pointing in the direction of our vehicle. Do you know if it reaches that far? We're not liable. That's all she would say. Well, we're not responsible for anything over there. I said,
And we said, we understand.
I'm not asking you to be responsible. I'm just asking about the cameras, that maybe there was some footage caught. And finally she gave in on the we're not liable and said, you'd need to talk to the manager. He'll be here tomorrow morning at 9. Just call the hotel number. She gave us a card and asked to speak to Robert.
Now, this manager doesn't even have a card.
But that's okay. So I call the next morning. So when the officer asks me, I tell him, I'm like, well, this is how it went down. So I'm going to call Robert tomorrow and see what information he can give me. And so when I call tomorrow, Robert's off. Robert's off tomorrow and the next day.
Which is fine, because Robert worked all weekend, and people.
That's fine.
You work, and
I don't
understand.
have a problem with that. And maybe the little girl that night did not know Robert's schedule, that he's going to be off for the next 2 days. But now I'm concerned that what if their security system is the type that overwrites itself after a certain amount of time, and he's going to be gone for 2 days. So 3 days later, is that footage, if there is any, even going to be there any longer? And the fellow that answered the phone told me that he couldn't tell me that. I needed to speak to a manager, and so I explained that's why I was trying to talk to Robert. And long story short, after a long conversation with this fellow, back and forth, and I'm like, if you had an emergent situation right now and Robert's off, what would you do?
If your hotel was on fire,
who would you call? What would you do?
Well,
I would call the GM. I said, okay, so can you call the GM? Ask him to call me back. Like, it could be as simple as, no ma'am, the cameras don't reach that far. It's an easy question. And the police are waiting for me to call them back and let them know. Of course, I guess they could call too. So anyhow, I spent the entire day calling and trying to get in touch with George, the GM, because he owns multiple properties, so he was kind of making his rounds. Never got George. George never called me back.
To this day, which is Wednesday, and this was
Monday night. So, yeah, can't get in touch with anybody. I even went so far, because Homewood Suites is a Hilton property, to try to call Hilton, like at a corporate level, and say, hey, can you get in touch with the GM there, and just, this is all I need. I don't need anybody to do anything. I just need to know, do the cameras work?
And we've said it many times.
That's all I want.
We don't want any reimbursement. We just want to know. All we want to know is that camera can see my truck. So that's all.
Still waiting. Still don't know. And at this point, I guess it really just doesn't make a difference. However, I will go and say on air, the company that I booked it from, I called them Monday night.
Well, first of all, the hotel says they're not responsible for that parking lot, because that parking lot is not theirs.
Yeah, that's their thing. We don't own the parking lot. That's a third party. We have nothing to do with it. However, their shuttle comes and picks people up and drops them off. So they're getting some sort of kickback from that, whether it's...
Yeah, I'm not driving back and forth to the airport to the hotel, to the hotel, and not getting anything
whether
from
that's
it.
a monthly fee that they receive, or it's a per reservation, whether they own it or not, they're getting money for that. They're not just doing that for fun. So there's that. But I did call on air, and I told the girl, she called me back the next morning, and I said, I understand that you're not liable. I understand that it says on the reservation, not responsible for damage, whatever. And she instantly refunded my money for my reservation, which was nice.
We didn't ask for that.
No, I didn't. I just was letting her know that there had been a problem.
We parked where they are not responsible and not liable.
And that's fine. So she quickly refunded me my money, and recommended that I call the property and let them know. And I said, well, I did last night. And I went through the whole thing with her. And I said, but they were quick to tell me they weren't responsible. And she says, but they are. I said, well, you know, it says, she said, no. They are responsible for watching over that lot where the vehicles are parked. Like, that's our agreement with them. They are responsible for that. So I don't know what responsible means, and I don't need them to pay for my window. It's insured. It'll be fixed. It's not. That's not the point. The point is there's two parties involved here. One refunds the money instantly and says they're very sorry if there's anything they can do, da-da-da-da-da. And the other one won't even call me back. So Hilton, Homewood Suites, here's your call out, because even if the answer is we're not responsible, and even if the answer is I'm sorry, our cameras don't reach that far, it would literally take you less than 5 minutes to tell me that. And as the manager, well, I guess not the manager because he's off, so he hasn't had a chance to call me back. As the GM of multiple properties, you can't be bothered to call somebody back in a 5-minute phone call.
So
speaks volumes about you.
I don't
and how
think
you
we're
run
going to
your
be staying
business.
at Hilton for
I will
any
not.
time.
I will not be a Hilton customer. I will not be a Homewood Suites customer.
And the other thing is they're blaming it on us because we didn't have a reservation for the hotel. That's another reason why we can't get in touch with who we need to get to. But
right, that was the customer service, the 800 number when I called.
But
the
your shuttle that says Hilton on the side of it picked us up.
We are not responsible because you don't have a reservation for a room. I said, yeah, but I have a reservation with your hotel's name on it for my truck. So I don't have a room in the hotel, but my truck has a parking space and it's reserved and it has your name on it. So the fact that you want to just back off and say, well, because you don't have a hotel reservation, we can't help you is just a total load of crap, in my opinion.
Here's what we say for Hilton. Right now, we would love for you to reach out to us. You guys have our number. You have our email. You can call us and let us know what's going on. That would be the number one thing for Hilton to do. The second thing for them to do was, even though they're not liable, they're still picking us up. They're still going. At least, they don't cost much. Put some cameras out in the parking lot that reach your parking lot or their parking lot, whoever's parking lot it is. That way, if we have an issue, we have a problem, we can pull the footage from those.
Yeah, that's literally all I'm asking.
I'm not asking
does your
for
camera
anything
reach? And can we get the footage? The police would like to have it. That's it.
Now,
I'm not asking for any money. I'm not asking you to fix this. I'm not asking you to replace my dash cam. I'm just asking for a call back.
Now,
and
we know if we
get
get the footage to the police department, there's probably not a whole lot they can even do. They might not even see it. They may not. Who knows?
It's probably kids.
It just makes us feel better knowing that there's big businesses out there that care about the little people that are trying to have fun and do something and think they're parking in an area that it was okay. So for Hilton, please put some cameras up out there. Help the next person.
Or disassociate yourself with the whole program. Like, either step up and be a part, or step out and don't. But don't step in that middle line in between where you say, sure, we'll take your money and you can park here, but we're not going to even respond to a phone call to see if you captured on video what happened.
So we're hoping to be able to give you guys an update on this video to let you know that they did reach out to us. So if any of you guys are Hilton employees or work for Homewood Suites or whatever it is, get this video to them. We're not mad. We're not upset. We parked somewhere that we were warned and we were told, but we were hoping everything would be okay. So we're not from this area. We don't understand, but we're hoping this will help other RVers or other airport people that's flying in there, because there was a lot of cars there. We were hoping this will help you guys.
The lot was full of cars. They just picked us. None of the other ones had damage.
So if you have friends or family that live there, reach out to them. Let them get in touch with us. Let's see if we can get this thing straight. Let's get it fixed. And if there is an updated video, we will post it. And if there isn't, we'll let you guys know. And until the next time you find us getting our truck repaired again and again.
Safe travels, y'all.